So AgXcel has had some pretty exciting upgrades from last year for the GX7. A lot of that's been stability, and then there's been some feature upgrades as well. Looking at the GX7 that I have here, we have our GX2 dual electric pump setup. You can also use this with our GX5 hydraulic diaphragm pump setup as well, or whatever pump you have as well. The GX7 can work with any setup. Looking at what we have here, we have a set of sight glasses set up, and then they're going to the flow meters, and then they're going down to the row unit. Now for the GX7, you do not have to use an existing manifold setup. You do not have to have sight glass manifolds. You can use the flow meters as a manifold if you want as well. So you can come out of the pump into the flow meters being used as a manifold, and then come out of the flow meters down to a check valve, and then down to your row unit. It's just in this case, I have my test stand set up with the sight glass manifold and then to the flow meters. Looking at the monitor itself, in this case I'm running it off of a Case Pro 700 monitor. You can use any monitor you have as long as it's ISO compatible. The Pro 700 is ISO compatible. You can use any John Deere, any Case, Raven, Trimble, Ag Leader, whatever monitor out there, as long as it's ISO compatible. We can show up on the virtual terminal and operate no problem. Looking at this setup, as I have the GX7 on screen here, I have this set up for 8 rows. Up here, the GX7 can be used as a dual product. In this case, I only have it set up for one product. I have my target GPA. I can enter this. I have it typed in as 5 gallon per acre. I'm going to be running at 5 miles per hour. I have a simulated speed set up as 5 miles per hour in here. Though with the GX7, we can provide you with a speed sensor, an Astro 2 speed sensor if needed, or else you can use the current speed source on your tractor. So if you have a John Deere, you can use their Starfire. We can read that speed. Whenever you speed up and slow down, our GX7 row monitor system knows to accumulate for those changes, and then we can update our system accordingly. And then you'll have your actual GPA. That will show you how many gallons per acre you're actually putting out. And then we also have a flow here as well. That'll show you your live gallon per minute. As the system is operating, I'll turn it on here. Right now I'm trying to put out 5 gallon per acre, running at 5 gallon per minute. I have my row 1 set over here. And then over here I have my row 8 set up over here. Looking at my sight glasses, they're all about even except for my row 7 here. As I look on my screen, my row 7, I can see I'm under applying. Right now it's shaded as green. So what that means is I am within my threshold, so I am not going to get an alarm. But now if I were to tap on that row, it'll tell me my current flow in ounces per minute. I can see it in gallon per minute as well, but my current flow is 12.8 for that one row. I'm gonna press my next arrow here. I'm gonna go to row 8, which I know is putting out the right amount of product. I can see right here I'm doing about 16.5 ounces per minute, so I know I'm definitely higher. I can press home, look at the rest of my screen. I want to see what row 4 is doing. Row 4 says I'm putting out about 17.3 ounces per minute per row. After I've done my calculations, I know that I'm right on, so I'm good there. So I know that there's something going on with my row 7, and I need to make some kind of change there. Maybe I have an orifice that's partially plugged. Maybe I have a tube there that's really long and it's causing more restriction. Either way, I am able to see that I have a problem there, and I need to make a change. Looking at these settings, we have very little settings. We want to make the system as easy as possible for you to operate. We don't want a bunch of things on the screen that don't need to be seen. Over here we have our job name, field name, and acres. Fill that information in however is needed. That is just for recording purposes. For your implement here, just put in your model, your number of rows. You'll want to put in the number of rows that your implement is, along with the spacing. In this case, I'm running an 8 row at 30 inches. Down here on my speed input, I can choose whatever I want as my speed source. In my case, I'm using a simulated speed, but if I'm using a wheel sensor, if I'm using a tractor for my speed source, or if I'm using an AgXcel speed source, I would put in that setting as needed. I go to my next page. The GX7 for this year, we've came out with dual product capability, so now I can monitor the liquid flow of 2 liquid systems at the same time. In this case, I only have one setup though. Here I can set up my product name as whatever it needs to be, and then I have my alarm threshold for my upper and my lower. So if I exceed a certain flow percentage or go below a certain flow percentage for a row, then I can get an alarm and I can set that separately. So in this case, I have it within 30%. That would be an average set point, but you can change that to whatever you want. Let's say if I want 10%. So if I want the system to alarm me whenever I over apply or under apply by 10% of my target rate, I can do that. I put 10 in here, I'm gonna press accept, go home, and now that row 7, it's no longer green, it's now yellow, which means I'm outside of that threshold. Right now I have the alarm muted, but if I unmute my alarm, and even if I am not on the GX7 page, if I go to my Raven RCM, my liquid controller page, after a while, my monitor system is gonna tell me, hey, that row is plugged. If I go back to the system here, and let's say if I have a row that's plugged, here I'm gonna plug row 1. You're gonna see that now it's red. And when it's red here, that means that I have no flow. You can see how some of these rows up here are blue. What that means is that I'm over applying a little bit there. So I'm outside my threshold and I'm over applying. I'm going to bring flow back to my row 1, and then you can see the system's operating as normally again. So as you can see, there's not a lot to the GX7. We wanted to make a system that can monitor the row accurately and reliably. We definitely did that with the GX7. Your screen isn't cluttered with a bunch of information that you don't need and that you don't understand. It's just a simple row monitor system with reliable magnetic flow meters. If you have any questions, give us a call or visit our website anytime, send us a message. We're more than happy to help you out.